Starting. View on the watch page. And we're going to go here. Make sure that my volume is... Nope, I need my volume to be in my head. Computer decides to behave. Quit iMovie, it's gonna save me some time. Hopefully it'll save me some space. Let's force quit that too. Hi people watching, I'm trying to get something set up real quick so that my audio doesn't feedback like crazy. So I'll be right there. Oh, there's that. And there we go. Perfect. That should set up that nicely. Now we're just going to go back in here. Go share that I'm live streaming, and then we'll get this party started. There's that. Hi people, good to have you join us. Move this over to my second. Nope, still too big. Ugh, this new screen of mine is so wonky to deal with. There we go. Okay. So how's everybody doing tonight? I am doing fantastic. Omega 0. Oh, you're currently working? What do you do for a job? One second. So I have two screens now. So, like, I have you guys over here. So if I look over here, and so I'm looking at to see what you guys are talking about, and then my main screen is right here. So just in case you're wondering what's up with that. that look a little bit nicer. I have the die roll on here. Do you guys have any questions for me? You just let me know. Play the footage, please. When did I do a die roll? When did it? Okay, there it is. So there's where my footage can start. So Wednesday's feature match is going to be, just so you, obviously if you can't quite tell, it's going to be Wukong versus Sylvia. So kind of some rulers. Oh, sweet. It'll be good to have you there, buddy. Some ruler trading here. Kind of some fly in the sky Wukong damage here. Considering the fact that this feature match that I'm editing right now is Wukong, Madmen. That's 16 right there. 18 there. It's not going to be a lot of actual editing in this one, just so you guys are aware. So it's going to be a lot of answering questions tonight. Kind of goes fast. Madman. Yes. Fryo 1, how do I feel about the future dual attribute rulers? Let's see. I think that it's going to be, it's either going to be one of two things. It's going to be a ruler that is one color on one side and then both colors on the second side. That's the thing that I kind of think makes the most sense to me, where it becomes dual attribute on the back side as opposed to the front. Because again, that adds to the desire to judgment. So it's like if I judgment, it pushes me into the second color for my ruler, gives it a little bit of a buff, makes me want to do that. If you stay two color on the front based on the abilities, then I think that's kind of like too safe based on how they decide to do it. I'm hyped for it though. I think it's really cool in a format where you only have, in a set where you only have 5 rulers, being able to kind of have these different kind of splits I think is pretty cool for deck creation, because each ruler can kind of go one or two different ways, so you don't have like 5 very obvious decks when you first look at them, which is really good. And then in terms of like energize, I definitely think that they're just going to energize for their primary color. I don't think we're going to see these little dual color energizes. I think that's a little bit too strong right off the bat for energize. So that's my thoughts on it. One, two. Split there. Ultimate D time Halo. Hey Deepwoods Force Will. Good to see you guys joining us tonight. In terms of what I use, software, I use a program called ScreenFlow. It's the primary thing that I use. I also use iMovie for some of like my deck profiles and stuff, but anything that requires multiple layers, I use ScreenFlow. Um, that's what I use there. Oh, don't crash on me. There we go. And the reason why I do that is because it's kind of much smoother than Final Cut Pro, which I used to use. I don't really like it as much as I used to, just because it takes a lot of work to render stuff with Final Cut Pro, and this ScreenFlow tends to kind of render as I go, which is really nice. It doesn't try to add a lot of extra detail to stuff. So pretty much the quality of my footage is what the quality is goes into the file, which is really nice because then there's not a lot of additional rendering, because it just recognizes it's just image files, which is really, really helpful, and it's going to make making Ruler School's version 2 way faster. Which I'm very happy about that. And in terms of how do I specifically get the life point counters, a guy who used to do graphic design work for Tavern TCG, he made their playmats. He contacted me, and his information's in the descriptions of all the videos. He was the one who designed these overlays for me, as kind of a, trying to get his name out there a little bit more. And so he created them for me way back when. And so he just gave me this image. It's a single layer. If you actually look here, it'll say overlay. Um, and that's just the dragons and the spots for names and stuff. And then I have extra layers here you can see for the life track and for the names of the decks and stuff. And so then I can just cut the individual tracks and work it there. Hope that helps answer your question. I'm going to save. That's probably a good idea. Of course. Always happy to help. Would I say... Hold on, I'll answer that question in just a second here. Just go to here. Would I say Fryo 1? Would I say Alice rulers are more powerful than Lapis rulers? My friends tend to complain about my two rulers, Gil Lapis and Shion, and call them broken. Opinion. I don't think so. I think that Gil Lapis and Shion are the stronger of the Alice cluster rulers that we still have. Um, I love Energize just as a mechanic, and I think that Gil Lapis Control um, is a strong darkness deck, but I think that Charlotte and Mikage do darkness better than Gil Lapis, mainly because right now Regalia are not the powerhouse that they used to be. I mean, yeah, they're good, but they're not the best thing ever. And so Gil Lapis, his frontside ability is naturally not as good. And Shion does get hit by Barrier of Shadows, and she gets by Horn to Barrier of Shadows, she gets hit by Horn, she gets hit by Lunar Lake, which are all very strong right now and very common at the top tables, I think, or should be. And so inherently, those are not nearly as good. I think it personally, my favorite rulers right now are Mercurius, Charlotte. I think Zero's got some strength. Wukong, I definitely think he has a place in Wanderer, just because of Format of the World Tree and Cloud, just as a control package to be able to help you cycle into your stuff. And then Mikage are kind of my big ones, I think. did he thunder me in the first game? I should probably go back and check and make sure. Sorry, lightning strike me. He did. He totally did. So he got me down to 35 both times. Mm-hmm. 13 people watching. Hi, guys. Glad to have you joining us. Feel free to ask any questions you have. I'm still here. None of that's changing. Oh, I took the damage from that then. Took it. What type of player do you consider yourself to be? For example, aggro. I missed that second half of the question, Joshua. I apologize. Um, I would consider myself to be a tempo or a control player. I really like the idea of reacting to things. I've always been a player who enjoys playing reactively, and tempo allows me to do that in a sense. But tempo's more of the aggressive style of that, and then control's more of the obviously pure reactive style. Um, I really like the idea of using my opponent's momentum kind of against them, and making them kind of do the work for me. And that's just how I've always enjoyed playing. So, how do I feel about the Grim Cluster not being able to use? I mean, it's fine. It's natural. It's a rotation. I played Yu-Gi-Oh, where cards became so obsolete so fast just because of power creep that it was like, okay, like, it's kind of useful that old cards just died. Um, so having a kind of built-in way that kind of shifts decks in a clear format is 100% okay in my mind, even though I love all the Grim cards. Except for Split Heaven and Earth, that card can die in a fire. Literally, I could just burn them. Split was just degenerate. It decreased deck's abilities to play things. Like, you just couldn't play cards. Like, you just, in that format, you just couldn't really play certain decks, and I don't really like when that happens. Like, at all. I think that's bad for a card game. I think that a person should be able to kind of walk in with a clear, especially because the problem was Alice World was so strong at that point in time that any of the decks that could answer Alice World just lost to Split Heaven and Earth, and that was the problem. Like, there was a clear counter to Alice World in the form of like Dark Alice and other things like that. But you just couldn't play Dark Alice or stuff like that without going too heavy into your special stones, and then you just got split to death. That was my entire Pittsburgh experience for AGP Pittsburgh. I played against Alice World round 1, and I crushed it playing Dark Alice. I played against Necrolance round 2, and I crushed it playing Dark Alice. And then I played against Red Green or Red White aggro for rounds 3 through 7, and I just had to uphill battle just purely because of Split Heaven and Earth. And then in round 8, I managed to play against a Kaguya player. A Kaguya won, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to flip my ruler and kill you. So I ended up going 5-3 at that tournament. But still, like, the top tables were nothing but Alice World, and if I had gotten there, I probably would have had a paid invite to Worlds. So what do I think about Captain Hook regarding its design? I think that it is. I think it's inherently balanced. I think that if you're playing Mercurius, it is a win con, which is strong and good for Mercurius because she really doesn't have much else going for her. But it's a counterable win con. You know, Lunar Lake, cancel spell to their big boom spell, stuff like that. So it's answerable, which is not too bad, and it's answerable in ways that don't feel awkward. Anything outside of Mercurius, though, it feels just kind of like, okay, played a card. Because that's a 5-drop that only hits 2 stones, and if you're not playing any kind of ramp, then your opponent probably still has 3 stones left, or a really, really established creature board, in which case your hook's probably just going to immediately die, which doesn't really help you. So it is good. It is not broken. It is flavorful, and it is better in some decks than it is in everything, and it is counterable without being too ridiculous. So I think it's a good card for that sake. What deck would I play in Wanderer format? I really want to build like essentially a Wukong Cawblade deck for those of you who played Magic. A deck essentially in the same kind of style as Cawblade, because of Forment of the World Tree and Flying Cloud. You just use Forment to ship all your clouds that you keep searching to the bottom of the deck, gain life, and draw your control answers. Do you have like Thunders and Lightning Strikes, and Wukong could just kill them, and everything else is just control. Essentially a different style of Vlad, but you're actually dealing damage instead of draining them. Um, Either that or some form of. I'm building a Wanderer deck actually for next Monday. So next Monday there won't be one of these live streams actually, because I'm going to be playing at my locals, and we're doing a Wanderer event. So I'm building a deck to put on the channel for that. So that's going to be kind of a surprise. So what's my favorite Alice? Card design wise, I really like Alice of Light, Alice of Shadow. I like the artwork on it. I like that it's a shift Alice. My favorite personal Alice that I have was gifted to me right at the very end of Worlds. It's an Alice Fairy Queen that was signed by Wednesday, so I'm gracious for that gift. Um, uh, in terms of strength as a card, it's probably Dark Alice or Alice the Guardian of Dimensions, one of those two. Hi, Chris Shirley. Nice to have you with us. Quick caster stealth. I think stealth is just really strong. playing cards for cheaper than they're supposed to be that are also removal spells and giant bodies is really awesome. Cut all this stuff. Whoa, that was not what I wanted to do. And we'll do this. Let me split all those clips. Up here, drag and drop. We'll delete them all. And we'll go here. Ending transition. Save. And select template. Oh, I hope it doesn't take me away from you guys. It probably is, though. So I'll try and do this quickly. End slate's the most important part of a video. That's not true, but it's an important part of what I like to do. Today's the 10th, so this is coming out on the 12th. Wow, I'm ahead of schedule. What's up, Tyler Norris? What is the best new Frontier deck? I think that there are a lot of good Frontier decks. I don't think Turbo Gwyber is the best new Frontier deck. I will say that much. Kind of keeping the rest of the stuff a little bit kind of trade secret. Not that it really matters, because the season is in such a weird place right now. Do I think that we'll see a few random top 8s in Wukong, ARG, AGPs? ARGs, I think maybe smaller scale ARGs, but I don't think that it will see the top of the top of the top. I don't think it'll see a top 8 at an AGP, personally. See if I like that transition. Bye, Tyler. I love you, buddy. Yeah, that turned out really good. Sweet. Save. I can't export it yet because I haven't done any commentary on it yet. Yeah, that turned out really good. Okay, happy with that. Moving over here. We're going to edit this so you get more of my face because we're done editing already. And ta-da! Oh, let's do that. Yes. Hi. So now I'm looking right at your comments, guys. So it's just me and you, and one can talk about it. Let's see. Would I highly recommend my Millium deck? No bias. What would you say is its strengths and weaknesses? Asked by Fryo1. It's a super fun deck if you like playing combo aggression and you like 1TK OTKing people. I think that it is disruptible. I think that it is very susceptible to removal of any form. And against any kind of darkness deck. Like the later the game goes, the harder that deck has to do, especially against any kind of like control deck. The thing is, if a person has like instant speed removal spells, like you're just pretty much just done. You're never really gonna resolve a Pandora. You're never gonna resolve multiple attacks with a Windy, just because they're just gonna target the Windy, and so it's just like you're just kind of done. Um, but like mid-range decks or anything else like that, I think that would be fine. Or if you're playing against, I guess the other thing would be if you're playing against a Resonator-based deck that doesn't have a lot of like spells and stuff to back it up. I think that's another deck that you could probably just fly over it and they're just done. How old am I? I am 25. How do I feel about Sha Wujing? I don't like either of the of the guys. In my locals where I played that Wukong deck that's for the feature match this week, I think I played the dudes uh, 2 times the entire night, and like neither of them survived for very long. I hardcast Wukong for 4 every time. I didn't need them. I just swung in and killed them. I mean, with Levitine being a card, you don't really need them. It's just to kind of thin the deck, and if you want to play a little bit more control-y, if you're worried about a Black Moonbeam or something, you can play kind of a little bit more control and make a Black Moonbeam kind of unplayable. But it's like, bleh. Anyone know a good link to find people for the Battle Simulator? I don't really personally. I'm still trying to figure out how to make the Battle Simulator work. I'm having some issues with my router and stuff, trying to get even connected to people. I haven't even actually played it yet because the one time at Worlds when I sat down to try it, the person they were supposed to be playing against was asleep. So I mean, it was a long day, so I don't really fault him for it. Hi, Bazith, or is it Bazith? Yeah, Bazith. Nice to meet you guys. Do I think Sha Wujing will make it into the green control list? I'll probably play like 1, maybe 2. I'll probably play 2, just in case the first one dies. I have a second one, so am I the only person disappointed with Zero as a ruler, Basith, you ask? I was super hyped when she was revealed, but now I'm like, meh. I'm the same way. She hasn't made me feel as good as she did when I first saw her, especially for New Frontiers. Where's the rest of my stuff? Oh, it's still out of my car. Ugh, that's what I get for going places. I leave stuff and things. How do I feel about Mercurius? Yeah, you're nay. I love Mercurius. Um, I think that if you're walking into a meta that has a lot of people playing basics, don't play her. But I think if you're, walking into a format where you feel like you might be rogue and a lot of people are going to be playing lots of dual stones, go nuts. And if your opponent doesn't play green, just go. Just go. Just flip as fast as possible, jam 2 to 3 hooks, and call it a game. I did that at Worlds. I triple hooked someone on turn 3. That felt really good. They just couldn't answer it. I was just like, okay, we're done. There's 4k on damage on board, and you're going to flip 1 stone. Maro FA asks, what do you think of Scheherazade as a Jund control ruler for Wanderer? I mean, Scheherazade was a Jund control ruler before with New Frontiers, so that's probably the color that she's going to be able to be. Do I think... I think she has way more options now. But I kind of think that Charlotte's just still better, because Charlotte has stronger card draw and more advantage, and is cheaper to flip. Stories told in 1,000 otherwise is kind of bad. I guess it's not as awful now that we have a lot more ramp. We have a 2-drop and a 3-drop feasting, and we have no Levitine, so stories can resolve better, I guess. I'm dealing with some allergy stuff, guys. Michael Blake asks, do I think Knights of the Round Table will make a return? I don't think Knights of the Round Table technically ever really leaves. I think it's just whatever format it's in, it's always a solid tier 2 choice. It's pretty straightforward. It's got strength, it's got pressure, it's got the ability to go wide. It's also got the ability to kind of shore up and be very defensive and grindy. It's got really easy protection from a lot of stuff, especially now that we have things like Magic Suites and Power Manifestation, and Blazer is always going to be a good ruler in that sense, to be able to just play white stones and be all white-red, especially now that Blazer can die and you don't lose mana filtering. Will filtering, sorry. So that's my thoughts on Blazer Knights. I think you could always just pick up Blazer Knights and just play it and have a good time and probably do decently well at your locals based on what your meta is. Gosh, now I just want to be playing card games. But untap is bad, and I can't get the simulator to work on a Mac. I should try to change up my playmats. What do you guys think? I don't know. Hey, anybody on the stream have Keeper of the Keeper promos? If so, how did you get them? Because I'm looking for them. That's my question to you guys. I have 2 Verdandis. That's it. Do I... Art Zip. Do I think Force of Will survive the years? Yeah, absolutely. I think that the company is making some really good decisions lately. I think if they continue to follow up on those good decisions, um, and continue their good communication, they're definitely not stopping production of anything anytime soon. That the game will definitely continue to grow. I mean, the thing is right now we got to get new players into the game, and the structure decks are there for that purpose. So I think that as more people produce content, as more people go to bigger events, as more of the game gets spread, that it will continue to grow. I mean, my locals has grown. We're dealing with a little bit of a slump right now from the fact that a lot of our like Battle Creek locals are in school or dealing with money issues a little bit, but we're also pulling in more and more people from the outlying areas. And I went to another local tonight, Odyssey Games, and I told them that we're doing Wanderer nights every other Monday, and like a bunch of people just jumped up and were like, "Let's go!" So they were really happy about that. So I think that the game is still only 2 years old. So it definitely has a lot of growth room, and it's going to go through some growing pains. But I think we've kind of trimmed down what needed to be trimmed. Do I think there's enough life gain in the game now for it to be a fatigue deck? I don't really know what that is. In terms of what a fatigue deck is. I would say maybe if this game tracked life in turns, but it doesn't. So I never bank on life gain being my win con. It's just kind of like I'm there. Insomnia Games, do I feel if Force of Will had a secondary market, would it improve on the game? I don't, personally. I mean, I get it. Um, I guess it would maybe kind of, you would, with certain communities, based on how the player base is built, that I think that it could make that happen. But I don't get, um, and I will say this. I was really bad when it came to Yu-Gi-Oh! At running the secondary market as like a backpacker. And I'm not really proud of that time. I didn't do that with Kaijudo at all, and I definitely don't do that with Force of Will. Like I will straight give cards away in Force of Will, even all the way up through like rulers. Like I'll just give stuff away. I don't really care. Um, and I come from a unique position there in the fact that my product is sponsored, but even with product that I purchased before that sponsorship happened, I was just giving product away. Um, Force of Will inherently is built to um, be really, really good at for the player buying sealed for the value of the enjoyment of it. Um, let's see, like I've purchased every set, or I've been given every set, 3 boxes since the game started. Um, I have never missed ratio, and I have always walked out with either a full play set of everything, or I'm like 2 super rares short, and I have enough spare super rares of the other ones to be able to trade for them. Same with rulers. Um, so 3 boxes in, which most locals will do for like 300 as a pre-order, which is not, I mean, it's not terrible. Um, Gets you a play set of the set. And so someone who does a lot of builds a lot of different decks like me and who really gets that enjoyment out of it, um, that is worth the investment in my mind because I'm getting I don't have to worry about trades. I can focus on playing the game and being connected with people at an entertainment level. Like I can just sit down and jam games. I can build silly decks. I can hook people up with all these cards and be this kind of community center because I'm not looking for anything. I don't have to find anything. I have it. So I can just ship it away. Um, so in that sense, I think that if people view the game as a way to have entertainment instead of as a way to get money, then I think that it's always worth investing in the product. I know that Alpha Investments video that's going around, everyone's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. First off, he did a terrible thing in the fact that he made a YouTube title that had really nothing to do with his true belief about the game. He doesn't think the game is actually dying. And he purely was talking about the fact that he mostly deals with singles, and singles don't get him the value back. It's fine. Buy sealed product. Sealed product for Force of Will is inherently worth your money. in my opinion, because of the amount of different stuff that you get from it. You get a buy box promo, you get the box itself. If you buy 3 boxes, you get the bag, you get the playmat, you get 3 box promos. My store typically shoots me 4 box promos, so I have the full play set. It's and it pushes the game. Like, so many times I've walked in and gotten my product and picked up my 3 boxes, and like 4 people in the store are like, "What are you here for? What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Force of Will," and then I'll tell them about all the cool stuff that comes with it, and they'll like sit down and watch me crack a box, and like I think like 50 to 70% of the time that person immediately buys a box themselves. So I think that you have to sit down and look at what you want out of the game. Do you want to be making your money back? Um, if so, this game is not really going to be there. Are you looking to bling out stuff? Okay, well, the secondary market still exists, so you can still play there. It's just harder to find stuff, but you can find it. So if you really want to bling things out, you can make them. You could make that move. And you're already a person who doesn't care about money, usually when you bling things out, so you're fine. And if you're a player who's just in it for the enjoyment, then you want this game to keep going, which means you want your store to carry it, which means you need to be looking at buying boxes. Like, it attracts new players to the game. It gives you stuff to be able to trade away. It gives you stuff to be able to give to new players, which will automatically pull them towards your game. Trust me. And just you'll get the ability to put your work into collecting stuff in up front, and then you can spend so much more time building the decks and playing the decks and talking to other players because you don't have to worry about trades. You have it all. So you're just like, cool, let's play. So that's my personal reason. I don't really think a secondary market is necessary, except for like high rarity stuff for this game to continue. I think that people just need to kind of change their mindset about what they're looking for out of Force of Will. So Alpha Investments is let's see. Sorry, we're gonna go to Casey Camp first. Considering working on a Millium Force build with Grim and Pandora and a Rush build with Birds of Paradise. Precious call to action. Any thoughts or suggestions on these deck types? I mean, I mean, look at beast builds before, find spots to make room, test it and go. I mean, I think there, and I think Millium Force build. I mean, the deck kind of builds itself. I think that if you're playing a Force build though, I don't think you're playing Wendy's and Peter Pan's. I think you're playing a more like kind of like power through kind of deck. So I think maybe you want to go like red white. So you have some kind of instant speed removal that's easier rather than mono white. It's just my option there. Okay. So Insomnia Games. We're gonna go back to you. Alpha Investments is deep into card value. Enjoyment is nice, but a lot of players buy online. And there's little incentive to sell online when most of the cards are $1 to $2. Right. So Force of Will is currently working on cracking down on online retailers only. They want you to go to the brick and mortars. They want you to support the LGS. Um, like, I'm not trying to make money off Force of Will. So for me personally, I'm not even trying to sell online. It's just not there. I try to go to the locals first if I try to move product or trades. I give stuff away all the time because, again, um, I walked into this card game saying this is not going to be my livelihood. This is just going to be my hobby. And so I before I started getting product for free, I saved up money because I knew this was my hobby, just like you would play video games and stuff like that. I saved up money to be able to buy this product. I chose to take my focus off of video games and I chose to put it towards Forza Will. That's what I did. Also, in my argument, Insomnia Games, back to your statement. Also, in your argument, you make the secondary market to be an annoyance and allowing players much more time to enjoy the game, and which sounds nice in theory, but a lot of players in any game love and enjoy it. And that's awesome. It's fine. People can have the secondary market. Like I said, it can play, you can have that secondary market. I personally don't go into the secondary market that much. And do I think that it would improve the game? I don't. So it can exist, but I don't think it's necessary for the game to be improved, would be how I respond to that statement. I think that with the current player base we have, unfortunately, if this mindset doesn't really change, then yes, the secondary market needs to be improved. But I think that if people could look at it from a different perspective and shift their mindset and maybe shift what they're trying to get out of this game, that the secondary market is not nearly as important. So it's the necessary evil right now and maybe needs to be improved, but I don't think that we really have to improve it if people look at why they're in this game um, and shift their business and their decisions based on that. Bazith, that's advice for people with an income though. Kids should not be spending money on boxes. Adults can make informed decisions, fair enough. So that being said, you can still buy packs. You can get product from your locals by buying packs that are affordable for kids. Also, this game, if I remember correctly, in terms of its age range, is based for kids 13 and up. So it's supposed to be for kids who have some kind of access to some kind of job. And again, where are you going to put your money? Are you going to invest your money in video games? Are you going to invest your money in clothes or fancier clothes? Are you going to invest your money in activities with friends? Or are you going to invest your money on your hobbies into a card game? You can make that decision. That's 100% on you. And I think that it's truly that in the sense of I'm investing not for a comeback of financial gain. I'm investing for a comeback of entertainment. So for me, back when I was choosing to spend my money on Force of Will before BC Comics sponsored me, um, my money was worth the product that I was buying was worth more than just the paper that I was getting. It was about the entertainment that I got out of it, and that was worth the money to me, just like a video game. So hopefully that answers a little bit. Where is my phone? It's my dog. Um, do I have any cloning magic deck ideas in the back burner? Michael Blake asks. No, I haven't looked at the card. Um, secondary market is a terrible idea. Starting making cards with so much force while doing it right. That's um, Michael Snowball or Mike Real Snowball asks. I'm running an invitation of Disaster Mars deck and needs replacement ideas for Namblots. Got any? Why? Mars helps you get to invitation faster. I don't really know what you're going for there. Hi Haru, good to have you join us again. I have a dog and a cat, so I have one of each. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry for leaving you hanging. I am back. I just had to check something real quick. Yes, but you are making it like a lot of the players should play the game for the fun of it, but there are a lot of players who see it for more as they do the top 3 TCGs, and that's fine. I'm not slamming those people. I think that Force of Will carries itself differently than the top 3 TCGs. So if those people want to play for the competition, if people want to play for the money, then as it stands right now, Force of Will is not that game. That's just how it is right now. And I think that subset of players is not the majority. So trying to artificially create something, trying to push something that does not that is not something that is created for the minority, that is not created with the majority of players in mind, I think is not the direction that Force Will wants to go. I mean, I think the best way to look at this is when you look at this from the sense of look at Worlds, look at the experience of Worlds. Like Worlds itself, a lot of the inherent value of Worlds comes from just showing up. We were given a playmat, we were given 5 decks, we were given a full play set, we were given the cool towels, we were given the banner, we were fed during the event, we had the player party with all this insider information, we had the fun raffles, we had the artists who were there. It was an experience. It was about coming together as people and having that solid experience. And yes, we competed, like we played at the world stage, and there was more prizes to be won. But the main benefit of Worlds, the main like value of Worlds comes from just showing up. In my eyes, and some people disagree with me. And let's see, I'm making it. When you get 300 people at a play event, I feel like that's a majority. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of different people who show up to AGPs. Those people are trying to compete, yes, but a lot of the people that I meet when I went to AGPs were there to have fun. Like, yes, they were competing, but they were having fun competing. And I think that experience shouldn't be. I don't think that experience needs to be impacted by this secondary market. That being said, I mean, secondary markets will always exist, and I think that the company is probably making some decisions that maybe help the secondary market. But I don't think it's necessary for the game, at least to the level where people are trying to make a living off of it. I think that if someone wants to make their living off of card games, at least in terms of selling stuff, that they would have probably an easier time doing it with Magic and doing it with Pokemon, doing it with Yu-Gi-Oh! Than they do. I mean, and even if you listen to like Stone of Void, recently did it, and the guy who owns the shop, he puts singles in the case to like potentially to like get people there, but most of the time he just sells sealed product, and that's where he makes his money. So just looking at that from a store perspective, that's just an idea. Let's see. Bazith, going back, there's a lot of questions. This is a heated topic, so thanks for bringing it up, guys. That's fine. I, as an adult, will spend my income on boxes. What I don't like seeing my 9-year-old brother begging our parents for 120 pounds. Is that euros? 120 euros to buy a box? Yeah, absolutely. I think that if a kid wants something, they have to earn it. Um, so, I mean, I had to earn my stuff when I was a kid. I think that kids should have to do the same thing. Players are looking to substitute their own other TCGs for Force of Will, but there's limitations hold them back. What limitations? They have access to cards. Like, I don't understand Insomnia at that point. If they're looking to substitute, then all they need to substitute is cards, and they can get those. Sold out of Pokemon TCG and Magic partly just to get into Force of Will. Welcome to the game, Casey. I think they should do a search for player button for the battle simulator. What's my favorite ruler for Wanderer? I haven't really played a lot of Wanderer yet, but I think it's a control format for sure. So something like Vlad or Charlotte or Wukong or something like that is probably my favorite. If I'm going for fun, I'm probably going to play Valentina 2.0. Play like Val's World again because I loved that deck. Oh, what prize is perfect for her? Where can I sell? I mean, you can just try to sell her on the marketplace, the Force of Will marketplace. It's a Facebook group, I guess. Maybe. I don't really know what pricing is for Ubers. Sorry. Because if this conversation has proved anything, I don't dig into the secondary market. If you could play at Worlds, any Worlds 2015 or 2016 player, who would it be? Hey, Taylor Norris, good to have you join us, buddy. 2015 or 2016? Probably Ryan Miles. That guy just feels like I would have fun playing with him. He and I are buds, but we've never actually played together. So that would be fun. Him or David Hartley. Is there a delay? Are you guys experiencing any kind of delay between the audio and the video? Let me know. Players, especially those from Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh, want to know that there can be a value in the cards. TCG players love value, and when you explain to them there isn't much, they get discouraged. Again, it's about player perspective. I'm not looking to turn a profit on cards, so I don't care about the value there. If that player is looking to turn value on cards, then like I said, Forza Will is going to be a game that disappoints them. But I think that it's not the company's job to make you money. If you're not, it's the company's job to make themselves money, and the company does not profit off of your transactions in the secondary market. They make they make um, they make money from buying sealed product to distributors. And Forza Will has developed their product in such a way that they are trying to encourage players to buy sealed product. It's simple as that. Um, I mean, yes, an LGS should make profit off of this game, and I think that that is important to do. But I think that is just as much the responsibility of Forza Will to make enticing sets as it is the player base to, again, have a mindset of wanting to support their LGS. Again, it's if you have players who are about the enjoyment of the game, if you have players who are about wanting to support their LGS, if you have players who aren't trying to turn a profit, they're just trying to play the game that they enjoy and compete at a high level, they're just going to buy boxes. Or they should just buy boxes. It benefits them the most, it benefits the players the most, it benefits the stores as most as possible, and it benefits the company as much as possible. I don't understand how this isn't just a win-win for everyone if you have perspective of just enjoying the game and wanting to support the game and the company. That's just how I feel. If it's not turning a profit on cards for some players, it's just holding high value cards and trading them for other high value cards that players love. I mean, if the inherent value of all the cards is not that high, then you're still trading cards for cards. So I don't really understand why they have to be cards that are worth $100. And again, this is my perspective. You are allowed to disagree with me. But you keep asking me questions and making statements, and I will keep responding to them. And I hope that I don't come off too strong in that regard. But I do appreciate your willingness to listen. So give me 1 second. I'm going to take a quick phone call, and then I will be right back. Okay, back into this. Uh, Getting off the money topic, have you had any interesting games recently? I lost yesterday due to using the monkey in the trapped life skill. Bazith. Um, I recently played a game at locals where I was playing the Wukong list that you're going to see on Wednesday, and I was playing game one. It was against Zero, um, and I won that one without even flipping Wukong. I just burned him for 2k damage with Priscias and Thunder Strikes and Lightning Strikes. Um, but game two, he sideboarded into Tree, and I did not expect it. And I had sideboarded in Hate for Zero and nothing for Tree, and we just played this like super stally game. He just called it Troll Tree. That was the package, was Troll Tree. And so we played a super long game, and I got him down to 100 life. I didn't even trigger Tree, and I was just trying to find a way to kill him for that amount of damage, and it just didn't work. And then it was super fun because we went into time. While I just scooped up game two eventually, but as we were sideboarding, time was called, so we had to be done. So we just drew that round. But it was a really fun back and forth, and we were laughing. Both of us were laughing our butts off, just goofing back and forth and answering each other in different ways. And I countered both like two of his Alices, and like it was just fun and goofy, and it was awesome. So Sir Relax, or Raelix says, I got into Forcible because I don't have to pay 20 plus for staple cards and was able to sell to my friends on the games for the same reason. There are plenty of people who play the game because the price is low. See, I agree. A lot of people at my locals are the same way. Players like having those high value cards in their binder. It's just something that they feel they love. I do like and value your opinion, even though I don't agree with it. That's fine, Insomnia. Awesome. I'm glad we found that common ground. Um, so let's see. I mean, there are high value cards that you can collect, like prize cards and Ubers. I mean, I have a Blazer Uber, or I have a Blazer prize card that I won. I have an Uber. I packed an Uber Mercurius, and that was really nice. I have my um, quest, my my Grim, my Epunk Grim. I have my Priscia. Like, there are high cards that you can get if you want to. If you want to invest, like I said, the secondary market is there for those high cards, but I don't think it has to be for the game to survive. And then that's what I'll say on that topic. We're done there. What colors do you think want the new dual attributes to be? Nothing we've seen before. So not fire dark and not green white. Those are going to happen, but it's fine. I would love to see green red, because I think that's fine. Green red. I would love to see black white. That would be fine. Oh, and I have Judge Reflect too. I do have the Judge Reflect. Um, so green red, um, dark white, and we're gonna have overlap with only green blue, um, black green, and then probably like red blue. Light water is probably another one that I would want to see. I have a question. If you use Altea with Invitation of Disaster, does the regular Awakening cost 0, or do you still pay? So the base 4 would be gone, but the Awakening cost would still have to be paid in that situation. Mike Real Snowball. We've seen blue, red, green, black, What ruler was green black? Green white was Kaguya. Red black was Blazer. Blue red? Is that Charlotte? Is Charlotte blue red? And green black is Helsing? Green blue. Right, you're right. So black red was Blazer. I'm so bad. Leave me alone, Taylor. So black red was Blazer. Green blue was... Who was green blue? Red blue was Charlotte. Green white was Kaguya. Who is green blue? Hold on, I'm gonna go check this. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Yeah, you're right. The two Alices were blue red and green blue. Problem solved. And we're back. So, let the questioning continue. Because I'm just here, waiting on the world to change. Taylor, do you have any keeper promos? I know I'm super exciting. Why isn't Exodia seeing play in Force so well? Because it's a different card game. People following me on Twitch. That's really weird considering the fact that I'm on YouTube Live. How are we doing here? Is my audio still here? Do you guys still hear me? Sounds like it. I hear it. Sometimes my headsets like to stop working. Does Force of Will ever want to compete against the other top three? And if yes, then what do you think in that respect? Excellent questions, Insomnia. You are on top of things. I think that it can. I think that it can compete against the top three. I would prefer rather to see it kind of expand into just being like the instead of a triangle, it becomes a square. And that's how. So I think that the game hits a niche market that Pokemon doesn't hit, in the disparity between Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. And we talked about this at my locals, myself and Bob Huffman, the owner of BC Comics. We talked about this. So Force of Will inherently has more complexity in it than Yu-Gi-Oh. So for a Yu-Gi-Oh player who wants something a little bit more in depth, and is a step away, in a sense, from Magic. So it is not quite Magic. So Magic players who are looking for something different can jump to Force of Will because it has a lot of similarity, but it is a different game in feel and depth. So it fulfills that kind of niche that Pokemon definitely doesn't hit. Because Pokemon, from my experience, and this I could be totally wrong because I haven't really kept up on Pokemon competitive, but from what I've seen and heard from Pokemon players at my locals, it is a very non-interactive game. You just kind of you take your turn and then your opponent takes their turn and back and forth. Um, and you're doing things to affect their board, but like there's not any real interaction beyond that. There are some people who really like that, and I am a player who doesn't. I am about the experience of playing with another person. I like the back and forth, and so I think that Force of Will doesn't really compete. It doesn't really compete at all with Pokemon. I think it goes at a different game mechanic and a different game standpoint wise that Pokemon and it just don't have to clash. And I think that it is distant enough from Yu-Gi-Oh that it can compete there. And draw people to it, and it is different enough from Magic that it can compete there and draw people to it. I think if the company continues to make these strong positions, then it will continue to kind of draw these players away from these other games, or catch their attention so they'll play both, and it'll continue to grow, and then it'll kind of rise into the ranks of these other games. I mean, it's shown in terms of sales, the company is doing phenomenally. In terms of attention and eyes on the game in the past month and a half, it's been fantastic. The Force Will movie is getting so much attention through the different market, through the different avenues. So I think that it definitely has that potential. So I definitely think that it can hit that market. Southeast Michigan, it's alive and well. Southwest Michigan, it is alive and well. We have lots of different stores jumping in, and player bases are continuing to grow. Um, and yeah, we do need more exposure, but I think the movies will definitely help with that and are helping with that. Um, would I ever do recommended deck lists for your feature match? I tend to go with kind of players that I know first, but I always consider lists that get sent to me for ideas. So no worries, Shadow Legend. Um, any advice for a newcomer to the forcible competitive scene? Look at the top decks so that you know what to beat. Test like crazy. Find a good group of people to test with. Don't be afraid to play meta, and just go and just see what you can do. Your first time you might not do very well, and that's okay. You just learn from it. And if you play a person who's better than you, first off, find a person who's better with you and play against them. And if they beat you, ask them why they beat you. Ask them what you could have done better. Hopefully, they're not a terrible person, and they'll tell you, because that's an excellent way to learn. That's how I learned. I don't have a new Frontiers list yet for Val 2.0. I haven't really been focusing on it. I've been putting a lot of my effort into the new rulers right now. So the other thing with the movie Insomnia, you got to understand that the movie is going to be coming out around the same time as our next cluster is going to be starting. And I think that timing is not unintentional. I think we are going to see stuff from that movie very, very heavily present in the next cluster. So I think with that in mind, when we get to that point, we're already generating buzz because people like Cthulhu and Lovecraftian stuff. So they're already kind of like, "What's this game? What's this game?" And they're kind of trying it. We have Cthulhu stuff, um, and so then when that movie drops, and I can say, "Hey, look, the stuff that's from this movie is in this card game right now, and you can just go immediately and play it." That is going to be an immediate like whoom, hook over. That's going to really, really play out well for the game. I am in Michigan, Frio. I am in Michigan, not Illinois. Gonna be getting off here in a few minutes, everybody. So hit me with your last questions and things you want to talk about before I head out. Let's see. Force of Will is weak in popularity in your area. Yu-Gi-Oh is much bigger than Magic, which is weird. Um, I mean, it happens. You have different areas where Magic outpaces Yu-Gi-Oh, and you have different areas where Yu-Gi-Oh outpaces Magic. It's just about which players and your possibly a little bit what's your age range for your player base, as well as your income base for your players. I mean, it's definitely a game that takes cultivating. Force of Will is. It's a game that takes cultivating at your locals. I think one of the best ways to do it is do a learn to play day and a structure deck tournament, where you allow players to pick up the structure decks at a little bit of a discounted price, and teach them how to play, and then they play in a little event for lots of door prizes, where you do like promos and other stuff that you don't really need, to get them to be like, oh wow, this is really cool. Then maybe like store credit or some packs or something like that, so they really get the enticement out of it, or a playmat or two, and do some raffles and stuff like that. Make it an experience, make it an enjoyable experience, and that I mean they get hooked on that. People get hooked on that experience of other players. I mean, people come to my locals all the time, and they always say, man, this was such a good place to play. They just really enjoyed playing the game with people. They didn't really care that they went 0-3. They didn't really care that they went 2-1. They didn't really care that they went 1-1-1. They come and they enjoy it. And if you can build an environment where that happens, it can help cultivate the game into being more popular. Art Zip. How long have I been playing Force of Will? Since Crimson Moon Fairy Tale came to the US. I've been playing since then. Will you open duels on Battle Simulator for a viewer want to try a duel? I can't get the Battle Simulator to work on a Mac, which is where I'm streaming from, and I'm still having problems getting it to work on my PC, which is over there. Not over there. It's over... Oh, it's over there on my table. I can point. I'm bad at it, but I can point. How do I feel about Gil Lapis? I think he's strong, but I think that there are other dark... just because darkness is so strong right now, but I think that there are other darkness rulers who do better stuff. What would be the best way to get players to come to the shop and keep them as regulars? Cash prizes can help. Entice them with participation stuff. Make it worth their time to pay into the experience. The promos, you can do old promos. We do maybe a random playmat. Some stores do buy a box, get a playmat rather than buy 3 boxes. Consider giving out packs per player. We do store tournaments where you get a pack per win rather than store credit payout. You can still do $2 of store credit instead of a pack, but you play and you get packs, and so you could do like 1 pack for entering and then like a pack per win after that, for the store. And then that entices players because they get product just for playing. And if they can't really necessarily afford a box or lots of packs, they can play an experience and get more packs and still walk away with stuff. So I think that's a really good way. So you have to just think about it as the fact that you're cultivating. And I think it's about the fact that you have to look at it from a sense of business sense, right? A new startup business that's starting from the ground up is it's the plan of that the first 5 years you should expect to be in the red. So you have to work your way up to being in the black. So in the same way, when you're trying to cultivate a player base, you should expect to be taking a little bit of a hit at first, and then eventually, as they keep coming back, you'll get into that black. I think it's based on your locals for cash prizes. Some locals really like the idea of cash prizes. Some communities, it really draws in players. Some players don't. You just have to know who your audience is. You have to know if that is something that you think you can feasibly do, and you think that that's something that will draw in players in your community. It's just based on your area. So there you go. What are good channels for Force of Will? Mainly match videos. I'm the kind of person that learns from observation. I'm only subscribed to you and Negative Legend. No one else is doing matches right now, really. At least that I've seen. There are a lot of smaller channels, but I haven't really picked up on any of them. 6 Ages Gaming is currently transitioning, and they're the only ones who do a lot of match videos. Outside of that, I don't really know where to put you, so I apologize for that, Bazith. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, my live is going weird. We're going to refresh the page, and hopefully that does something. So I have an ad first. Oh, don't make me watch an ad first. Let's go 480p. Can you guys still hear me? Just let me know if I'm still transmitting and my computer's just not letting me see it. Okay, there we go. I'm back. Kentucky players really don't like cash prizes. I have bad news for them. I mean, I'm not in Kentucky, so I can't answer that. There's lots of Italian channels. You're right. Kaifu is one, so KAI-FU. Kaifu is a player who does put up videos. I know, match videos. Played a game called Raw Deal. The company gave one awesome promo per month per store that participated in their events. Besides the weekly promos, do you feel a monthly promo would be good for this game? I think that could help. I mean, we have something in the sense for Wanderer format with Grims, but I think that, that could possibly help draw players in. Minnesota had 30, 34, 36 players. I know that because Minnesota, it wasn't states. It was, sorry, it was a TCG player event. It wasn't states player event. And first, second, and third were all Team Ogres. So we swept that event. What Dark Ruler would I recommend then if not Gillepis? Mikage or Charlotte? Mikage's a stronger win condition and has a lot of synergy with a lot of cards and is a win con in and of itself at the end. Insomnia. So I'll answer your question because I actually, the Team Ogre guys who were there talked a lot with the store owner. So um, it was technically kind of advertised as a 1K, but the 1K was kind of weird in that sense. There were a lot of high value collectibles that were kind of thrown into the pot that kind of made the pool essentially a 1K, but it was weird there. So like first place walked out with cash, and then they had like banners and Ubers and tons of spare pack, like lots of packs and other kind of memorabilia stuff that kind of filled the rest of the pot. So that being said, all in all, off the entry fees and everything else that happened during that time, the store still, I think they fell short of the 1K by like $43. So they didn't make $43 back. So they technically came out as a loss for the event. But the store owner, before the event even let out, said, and counting all that and seeing the numbers, told everyone there we were going to do this again in 6 weeks. And they said, even though we took a loss, we loved getting the players in the store. And so we are going to support the players by accepting that little bit of a loss and running this exact same style of event again in 6 weeks. And I guarantee you that event is probably going to grow in size next time. And that's what I mean by you take a hit now, you stay in the red now, you're okay with being in the red now, and you build that up knowing that your profit is going to be there later. It's in the same sense of, like I said, a new business owner should walk in accepting that for the first 5 years you are going to be operating at a deficit. You are not going to be making your money back for those first 5 years, but you have to push through that. And then if you're successful and you push through that comfortably, and this is just business theory, then starting at year 5, you should start to see yourself push into the black, and then you'll push further and further and further into the black, and then that profit will make up for those first 5 years of red. So you have to think in the long term. You can't think in the short term. It's in the same. I mean, in the weirdest way, it's the same thing as when you're playing Force of Will. I will gladly take 3 lance hits to the face, knowing that that puts me closer to being lethal because I need to set up this board, and I know that in the long run, that 18 damage is not going to be relevant because I'm still winning the game. But I think that's one of the things. So, Insomnia, to answer, to kind of go off your statement there, taking a risk, whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic there isn't any risk, though there is a chance for Force of Will to grow. So here's the thing: I think if any store, I think Force of Will's in such a weird position, and a good position there is that these games are well established. Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic and Pokemon are well established, and so I think, and I don't know what your budgets. I don't know what your budget is like. I don't know what your store's ledgers look like. I don't claim to know. I don't want to know. But if your store is making good money on these clearly established games, and then I think that your level of risk is less because you have other things to fall back on that are still providing you with that increase, still providing you with that profit. So you can take a risk on another game without putting yourself in too much danger. And I think players will see that and then say, okay, this store's in. I'm going to give that store my support. And they'll buy in. And so, yeah, you might have to take a little bit of a risk, but I mean, you should also be, you, if you're a store, you're not just selling Force of Will product. So you have to look at your ledger as a whole and where you can afford to take those risks. So I hope that answers your question, Insomnia. I appreciate you being willing to listen to that as well. Um, you know, I hope that makes sense. I'm not a business major. I don't run a business. Um, Anything like that. So, oh, Insomnia, that's just Taylor's usual jab at me. I love you, buddy. Um, from our playing at Illinois. Let's see. How did you create Come as a team? If your team are full of players overseas, how do you guys practice or offline? Excellent question, Solomon Curry. So Team Ogre was created by Epunk, and Team Ogre plays a lot of different card games, and Epunk decided that he wanted to create this team. And then for Force of Will, he wanted to start playing actively for Force of Will. And then he got in contact with Tyler Norris via Worlds and their connections, where he decided that he wanted to kind of host the U.S. branch of Team Ogre. Um, um, he formed it, and he had a few close knit members from players who did really well in season 1. And then Tyler and I are very good friends, and so when he heard that I really wanted to commit and play competitively in season 2, he invited me to be on Team Ogre. And so we talk a lot online. We have online Facebook private groups that we chat on. We play on Untap. We play via Livestream and stuff like that. That's how we do all of our testing. And then we all try to meet up together at the very end, right before a tournament, and play. So that's how we do things that way. We don't have a Team Ogre YouTube page. Pretty much the Team Ogre lists that we think should be shared end up on my channel. I'm pretty much the mouthpiece for that. Even or greater reward at the end. Insomnia, you're right. There does need to be that reward, and I think that that reward is there, but you have to really see the reward as being the long term. It's not going to be a short turnaround to get you that reward. It is going to be this kind of working towards it, and eventually we will get there, and eventually it will snowball. So that is actually going to be it for tonight, guys. My wife just got home. I'm so happy to have you guys join it. I think the conversation tonight was really good and positive. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for all your questions. Tune in, probably not next week because I'll be playing Wanderer, but maybe next week on Sunday when I'll be editing again. I will answer more questions there. So thanks a lot, guys. Go ahead and check out the other videos. Stay tuned for the feature match on Wednesday. But until that time, this is TMO73 signing off.